Good evening, I'm reporting tonight on a story that is actively dismantling the billion-dollar pop music illusion, exposing a system that has thrived on artificial perfection. We begin with a stark contrast. Imagine an industry that spends millions engineering the perfect, heavily edited superstar, only to be completely upstaged by a barefoot teenager holding a simple microphone. This is the reality currently sending shockwaves through top record labels. The music business has spent decades refining a highly manufactured plastic formula for generating celebrities. But tonight, one young woman has seemingly torn that entire corporate playbook to shreds. Jordan did not simply bypass the traditional rules of engagement. She has fundamentally exposed the standard of modern commercial music. When she first emerged as a 7-year-old prodigy from Norway, the global audience assumed it was just another fleeting, gimmicky television moment. But the moment she began to sing, delivering a heavy, soulful jazz vocal, the world paused. She captured billions of views, not through flashy choreography or synthesized tracks, but through raw emotion that veterans spend lifetimes attempting to replicate. It was a terrifying wake-up call for the establishment. But raw, undeniable talent is often viewed not as a gift by top music executives, but as a highly lucrative asset waiting to be packaged, controlled, and sold to the highest bidder. Almost immediately after her initial viral success, the mega-labels began circling her camp like sharks in the water, desperate to secure the exclusive rights to this once-in-a-generation voice. After intense negotiations, she signed a massive, highly publicized contract with Republic Records, a move that the mainstream media immediately hailed as the ultimate victory lap for the young prodigy. To the general public, watching from their screens at home, it looked like a classic ending, a musical dream completely realized. However, investigative whispers and industry leaks soon began circulating, suggesting that the corporate machine was quietly attempting to sink its administrative claws into her unique artistic identity. Sources closely monitoring the situation hinted that powerful executives desperately wanted to gloss over her signature vintage grit, hoping instead to mold her into a generic, highly marketable pop clone. The very soul that catapulted her into the global spotlight was suddenly at severe risk of being buried underneath heavy studio production. The warning signs became impossible to ignore when her fiercely loyal fan base began noticing a distinct, alarming shift in the audio tracks being heavily promoted by her management. The newly released, overly produced songs simply lacked the authentic, resonant depth of the girl who had originally captivated the entire world with just a microphone and raw acoustics. Rumors practically exploded across online forums and entertainment blogs, detailing intense, closed-door battles reportedly taking place behind the scenes of her studio sessions. Widespread speculation surfaced across the industry that she was facing immense, suffocating pressure to conform to current commercial trends. Allegedly, she was being heavily pushed to utilize pitch correction software and to aggressively play the viral social media game that modern record labels now strictly demand from their roster. But instead of quietly folding under the immense weight of corporate expectations, insiders claim she courageously pushed back. She reportedly refused to dilute her extraordinary vocal instrument just to secure cheap, fleeting streaming numbers. This silent rebellion set the stage for a dramatic showdown that no one in the executive suites ever saw coming. Then, in a bold move that left top-tier music executives completely speechless and scrambling for public relations answers, she executed a maneuver rarely seen in the modern era of entertainment. She did the absolute unthinkable. She boldly walked away from the massive corporate machine entirely. In a shocking twist in 2025, she shattered all conventional industry expectations by announcing she was going completely independent. Historically, leaving a major international label is widely considered to be an act of professional self-destruction, a career ender for any rising artist trying to secure a global audience. But the reports indicated she simply did not care about the artificial prestige. She deliberately stripped away the synthetic noise, the forced branding, and the suffocating oversight, choosing instead to release deeply personal, heavily guarded music. In an ultimate display of artistic defiance, she funded and produced a hauntingly beautiful independent album, famously adapting her own grandmother's private poems into lyrical masterpieces. She effectively reclaimed her narrative power, broadcasting a loud, undeniable message to the world that genuine artists do not require billion-dollar corporate backing to make a profound impact. By single-handedly funding and entirely controlling the direction of her own artistic creations, she brilliantly exposed how unnecessary the bloated, traditional label system has truly become for genuine talent. This highly publicized pivot to independence wasn't merely a quiet business decision. It was a loud declaration of war against the established, rigid norms of commercial music production. Reporters and music critics alike watched in absolute fascination as she built her own infrastructure from the ground up, completely bypassing the corporate gatekeepers who typically dictate what reaches the public's ears. Her unyielding dedication to acoustic purity and emotional resonance stood in stark, almost jarring contrast to the heavily synthesized, formulaic hits dominating the current commercial charts. She essentially created a parallel blueprint for success, demonstrating that a loyal audience will always follow authenticity over artificial marketing hype. While industry insiders quietly predicted her independent venture would quickly fade into obscurity without massive promotional budgets, her streaming numbers completely their cynical projections. She was rewriting the rules in real time, proving the old guard was rapidly losing its iron grip. Anticipation within the global broadcast community reached an absolute fever pitch when major news outlets officially confirmed she was slated to return to a massive, highly visible platform. She was formally announced as a prime contender for the upcoming 2025 Grand, a highly prestigious international television event watched by millions. This heavily anticipated performance was widely expected to serve as her triumphant, independent comeback on a truly massive global scale, proving her critics entirely wrong. Fans and journalists were eagerly preparing to witness her raw vocal power completely dominate a stage usually reserved for highly choreographed, heavily produced spectacles. It was perfectly positioned to be the ultimate vindication of her risky independent journey, a moment where pure talent would undeniably eclipse the manufactured competition. Media coverage leading up to the event heavily focused on her unique narrative, framing her as the ultimate underdog who had successfully beaten the massive corporate label system at its own game. Every camera, every microphone, and every expectant eye was firmly locked on her upcoming return, preparing for a historical television moment that would solidify her as a modern legend. Then, in a completely unprecedented and utterly baffling turn of events, just as the international spotlight was blazing at its absolute, she vanished from the finalized lineup without any prior warning. The sudden, unceremonious cancellation sent immediate shockwaves through the press room, leaving journalists and fans desperately scrambling to uncover the real story behind her shocking absence. While official, carefully worded public relations statements immediately cited the devastating, highly publicized wildfires in Los Angeles as the primary reason, noting they had affected her family, alternative theories rapidly ignited. The internet quickly became a breeding ground for wild speculation and intense, ongoing industry rumors. Many loyal supporters and cynical media observers openly speculated whether her sudden, dramatic withdrawal was actually related to unseen, intense pushback from broadcasting executives behind the scenes. There were rampant whispers of a flat-out refusal on her part to compromise her artistic integrity or alter her raw performance style to fit within the rigid, heavily regulated constraints of a mainstream commercial broadcast. The official narrative was highly scrutinized by the skeptical press. Regardless of the carefully curated press releases circulating through the media, her deliberate choice to step away from the blinding glare of the mainstream spotlight spoke volumes to those paying close attention. It appeared she had once again chosen real, unfiltered life and uncompromising personal integrity over the alluring promise of a manufactured, highly broadcasted moment of fleeting fame. Her deafening silence in the wake of the sudden cancellation arguably generated far more impactful headlines than any standard promotional television interview ever could have achieved. By completely refusing to play the expected media game, by refusing to offer tearful apologies or heavily scripted explanations to the waiting press corps, she maintained her powerful aura of mystery and total independence. This calculated retreat only further cemented her growing global reputation as an artist who simply cannot be controlled, bought, or pressured by the traditional entertainment complex. She effectively demonstrated that she holds the ultimate power over her own visibility, choosing exactly when, where, and how she shares her extraordinary gift. It was in retaining leverage in a deeply exploitative industry. Ultimately, by simply existing and thriving as an uncompromising independent powerhouse, she actively destroys the fragile illusion that props up the modern, heavily manufactured pop idol we see on television. A quick glance at today's commercial charts reveals a bleak landscape dominated by performers who heavily rely on extensive studio intervention and audio correction just to maintain a basic melody. She completely humiliates that desperately low industry standard by continually proving that pure, unedited generational vocal talent still effortlessly commands the world's unwavering attention. She has categorically proven that a true artist does not need to manufacture fake, headline-grabbing controversies, wear outrageous outfits, or rely on masking software to achieve massive viral impact. Her continued, fiercely independent success stands as a direct, existential threat to the powerful executives who rely exclusively on mass-producing disposable, easily controlled pop stars. She is living proof that deep, emotional authenticity will always outlast shallow, artificial marketing hype. She has effectively exposed the wizard behind the curtain, showing the public that the heavy machinery of modern music often hides a total lack of genuine talent. This investigative report leaves us with a critical, incredibly urgent question that challenges the very foundation of the modern entertainment media landscape as we know it today. If a young artist can courageously walk away from the most powerful record label in the world and still manage to captivate millions globally using strictly her natural voice, what does that reveal about the artificial idols we are currently conditioned to worship? Jordan did not merely beat the cutthroat music industry at its own complicated game. She boldly exposed its structural flaws for the entire world to witness on the front page. She has undeniably proven that a true creative force does not have to trade their authentic soul or dilute their unique vision just to be heard by the masses on a global scale. As we sign off tonight, we challenge you, the viewer at home, to critically examine the media you consume daily. The very next time you hear a heavily edited, aggressively marketed pop anthem on your radio, pause and ask yourself the hard question. Are you actually listening to a real, breathing artist, or are you simply consuming a finely tuned product carefully manufactured by a corporate machine? Reporting live, this is the truth behind the music.